All right, I want to talk about one more thing because a lot of people have been asking me, Nick, can you address some of the undrafted free agents? So I want to jump into some of the undrafted free agents, go through what they've done, go through why I think they could make an impact on this team. Not every single UDFA is going to make an impact. The vast majority of these guys don't make the team. Some of them make the practice squad, even less actually make the roster, the 53-man. But I start with Lan Larrison, who is a running back out of UC Davis. Now, interestingly enough, Mike Reese wrote about Larrison this past weekend. Larrison has one of the richest deals for UDFAs. He signed for $175,000 in guaranteed money. And as Reese points out, that reflects how the Patriots likely had competition to sign Larrison. He's not making 175 G's guaranteed unless he's able to leverage one team against another. So that should tell us that Lan Larrison is one of these undrafted free agents that could easily make the football team out of the guys that have been brought in. He's a dual threat, 3,600 plus rushing yards, 1,600 plus receiving yards at UC Davis. And he fits the Josh McDaniels offense. I like to compare guys that get brought in to prior guys within the McDaniels offense. I love doing that because I think it gives us an idea as to how that player could be utilized, what the team is thinking when they bring that player in, and compare Larrison, who's 6 foot 215, to Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead was 5'10", 215. Larrison is 6 foot 215. Almost the same exact size football player. And they have a very similar game. So if you're wondering about what Larrison could do, who he could be, just picture Rex Burkhead. Because that's really the kind of back that I think McDaniels envisions when he looks at Lan Larrison. So that's one guy. Let's jump to somebody else. This ain't going to be sexy, but I want to talk about Brock Lamp. Brock Lamp is a fullback, played for Northern Illinois. Now, why am I talking about Brock Lamp? It's because Brock Lamp is a perfect morph between a Mike Vrabel player and a Josh McDaniels player. Lamp at NIU played two positions. He played both sides of the football, not as gloriously as Travis Hunter, but Brock Lamp played both fullback and linebacker. Are you telling me that Mike Vrabel doesn't love a guy who plays fullback and linebacker? Can't you just envision Vrabel falling in love with this dude? Like, wait a minute. He not only played fullback, but he also played linebacker? What? Sign me up. What's his name? Brock. Oh, his name's Brock? Yep, bring him in. And, of course, we know that Josh McDaniels loves the fullback within his offense. Always has a fullback in his offense. And you have to imagine he wants a fullback in his offense. Now, maybe McDaniels looks at Jaheim Bell and says, we can mess around and we can play Jaheim Bell in the backfield as a fullback, that versatility, the athleticism. Maybe he sees it. Maybe he has another tight end fullback option that he's thinking of. We'll get into one possible tight end option in a minute. But Brock Lamp, fullback, linebacker, Northern Illinois, he just screams to me one of those Patriot throwback fullback guys. I would not be surprised whatsoever if he made the roster. Let's jump to somebody else. Let's get to that tight end. CJ Dippre, tight end, Alabama. And yes, Dippre was done on purpose if you're a wrestling fan. CJ Dippre, Alabama tight end. Now, what's interesting about Dippre is Dane Brugler actually thought he was going to get drafted. Dane Brugler had a 5th/6th round grade on Dippre. So Brugler thought this guy was going to get drafted maybe as high as the 5th round. And you get him as an undrafted free agent. So just value-wise, you win. You win by getting Dippre, a guy who could have gone in the 5th or 6th round. You get him as a UDFA. That's a win. But then we look at his athleticism. Sneaky athletic. 8.72 RAS, relative athletic score. So he brings plenty of athleticism to the tight end position. Dippre can also bring versatility. Dippre lines up in line as a tight end, traditionally, the old traditional style. But he also can line up outside. He can also line up in the slot. So you've got CJ Dippre, who was underutilized at Alabama because of the offense and because of the focus on wide receiver position and Jalen Milroe and all that stuff. He was underutilized at Alabama. If he played at a school that threw the football more to the tight end, I think his stats would have been better, and he probably gets drafted. But his talent, a lot of people would tell you, including Dan Brugler, enough talent to be drafted in the 5th or 6th round, an athletic guy. He can play inline. He can play outside. He can play in the slot. We know Josh McDaniels loves moving around his tight ends. We saw it. We saw it all the time with him. And Dippre has the ability, has the athleticism to move around on that line of scrimmage. So he fits the mold of a pretty athletic, versatile tight end. He also blocks pretty well. Now, Brugler says that he can finish better at times, and we always know that Mike Vrabel loves the finish and the effort. But Dippre is not a zero blocking, far from it. So versatile, where he can line up on a line of scrimmage. Good athleticism, good blocker, and he has special teams experience. CJ Dippre could easily make this football team. Let's talk about somebody who played locally. Jack Connley is somebody else, offensive lineman from Boston College. We spent a lot of time talking about Ozzie Trapillo. We spent some time talking about Drew Kendall before the draft, both Boston College offensive linemen. For obvious reasons, we discussed those guys. Doug Marrone was with BC last year. He's the O-line coach for the Pats this year. Bill O'Brien, Mike Vrabel, super tight, great friends. So when you look at Jack Connley, offensive lineman from Boston College, the guy that we didn't talk about, they land him as a UDFA. He is 6'7", 325 pounds. But it's not just his size. I mean, he's as big as Marcus Bryant, 6'7", 325. That's a big human being. But it's not just the size, and it's not just the connection to Marrone and Bill O'Brien, why I think Connley could make this team. It's also because he has a lot of versatility. He played left tackle. He played right tackle, but he also played right guard at Boston College. So he's played outside. He's played inside. He played both tackle spots, and he played right guard. So with that versatility with offensive linemen worth its weight in gold. To have the ability to move around the offensive line, I think that gives him a leg up on some of these other offensive linemen that will be in camp. It's going to be tough because you have a lot of offensive linemen, thankfully, this year. You do have some pretty good depth. You've got the fight, you've got the battle, you've got the Royal Rumble, you've got the Elimination Chamber at left guard. But, you know, when you look at this overall offensive line, you've got some pretty good depth, especially compared to last year, which was a disaster made even worse by injury and Okorafor leaving the game for a season. So it's not a guarantee, far from it. But Connley, I think, has a shot. He's got a shot because of the connections. He's got a shot because of his size. He has a shot because of his versatility. Let's move on to Ben Wooldridge, quarterback from Louisiana. Now, it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots decide to carry 3 quarterbacks. I don't know what their plan is going to be, but it's obvious Wooldridge is going to have a chance. Wooldridge will have a shot because he right now is the 3rd quarterback on the roster. You've got May, obviously. You've got Dobbs, and you've got Wooldridge. So Wooldridge will be interesting. Completed 66% of his passes, over 2,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 picks for Louisiana. Not an overall strong arm. He doesn't chuck it. But it'll be interesting to see if he's somebody that is in the plans, or they just say, no, we'll just squeeze him into the practice squad because we don't think anybody's going to pick him up. I would probably lean towards the latter. I don't think he's going to make the 53. I think Wooldridge is more likely to be on the practice squad, emergency type option at quarterback. You also can see who gets cut over the next couple of months, who becomes available. You might snatch a guy up. So I would not count on Wooldridge making this roster. But a couple of things about him I just wanted to share. The Pro Football Focus grades, it's interesting. 84.9 was the Louisiana offensive grade. 83.4 was the Louisiana passing grade. Both of those numbers, both of those grades were 10th out of the draft eligible quarterbacks. Now, of course, you could talk about level of competition. You can talk about a lot of different things, type of offense that they run. Just interesting that the offensive grade and the passing grade from Pro Football Focus both landed Wooldridge in the top 10 of draft eligible quarterbacks. All right, I want to end on this guy, Efton Chism III. Not because I love the name. I'm sure you've heard a decent amount about Chisum already. Wide receiver, Eastern Washington, a la Cooper Kupp. I'm not telling you he's going to be Cooper Kupp, but he really is the prototypical slot in a Josh McDaniels offense. Josh McDaniels loves guys that can work in short areas, gain separation quickly. You think about, Danny Amendola. You think about Edelman. And Chisum, he has that to his game. He's not a supreme athlete. He's not as fast, for example, as Edelman was. But he's in short areas. He can drive defensive backs crazy. He can drive linebackers crazy. And so he's somebody that if you look at this offense historically with McDaniels, what he likes to have at the slot, Chisum has a chance. Now, of course, Pop Douglas also could be the slot guy, and I think that's how I would write it down in Sharpie. I would think Pop is the guy to start the season, but I do give Chisum an outside shot of making this team because of his ability to break loose at the line of scrimmage and get open quickly. There are some routes that you see him run in Eastern Washington that are almost, pretty much direct routes from the Patriots McDaniels offense. So the translation, you can see it from watching his time at Eastern Washington. You could easily just kind of plop him in with the Patriots. But of course, there's a lot of guys that we've said could play that role, and they don't end up playing that role. So I don't think it's a guarantee that Chisum makes the roster. But he's an interesting player. We have to speak in relative terms when we discuss UDFAs. Again, the vast majority of these guys are not going to make a roster. Some of them will get to the practice squad. A few across the league will get a chance on a roster. So we have to keep that in mind. But Chisum, he has as good of a chance as anybody to make the team because of the way he plays, the position he plays, and what Josh McDaniels wants out of said position. And the dude produced 120 receptions, over 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns. And as I mentioned before, comparing Rex Burkhead to Lan Larrison, I kind of love looking at comparing size and weight in game to prior players because, again, I think it gives us a great idea as to how the staff feels about a certain player and how they envision using that player. And like I said, as far as Larrison and Burkhead, I think you can make the same count. Again, aside from the athleticism, Edelman's a better athlete. He's faster than Chisum. But just looking at the size, I mean, these guys are like replicas of each other. Julian Edelman was 5'10", $195. Edelman was 5'10", $198. Chisum is 5'10", $195. So same height and separated by 3 pounds. So very similar size. A difference of 3 pounds. He's not a Julian Edelman. He's not a Jules athlete, but he's right around the same size as Edelman. And he's got that short area quickness that McDaniels looks for. So those are the UDFAs that I would really look at. I have my eyes on. I think they could have a shot at making this roster, some a better shot than others. And, whether it's because of position or style of play, even with the guaranteed money with Larrison, the 175, I think carries a certain significance to it. Those are the UDFAs that I would be looking at. There are other guys that we could talk about, certainly, but those are the 6 guys that I kind of look at as we get ready for rookie camp coming up on Friday. Those are the 6 guys that I'm kind of honed in on. That's who I think have the best chance. I would not be surprised if a CJ Dippre makes the football team. Wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. I think they'll have that battle between he and Jaheim Bell. If they want to carry 3 tight ends, that's the battle. If you want to carry 4 tight ends, then Dupree's going to make the team. But maybe you want to carry 3 guys. They also have West over on the roster, but I really think it comes down to Bell and Dippre. Don't forget to like. Likes mean the world to me. Click that thumbs up. It helps us. Don't forget to comment. That helps us as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that notify bell so you know when we go live. New episode drops. Subscribe. We're trying to hit 7,000 subscribers by mandatory minicamp. We got about a month to do it. I appreciate every single one of you for supporting this show, whether you watch it, listen to it, you comment, you subscribe, you go to Apple Pods and Spotify, and you comment, rate, and review. I appreciate every single one of you. We will be back on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern live. Until then, enjoy the rest of your hump day and be well.